This is your friendly neighborhood atheist.
What's up, Dr. Ray? How you doing?
I'm doing great and looking forward to this. Ever since you asked me, I'm like, okay, I get to talk about sex, my favorite topic.
Why is sex your favorite topic? Oh, for those that don't know, the topic today is obviously sex, and more sex, please. Why is it your favorite thing to talk about?
I don't know. I guess I got started masturbating when I was like 11 years old and I've never stopped. And then when I found out you could do it with women, that was even better. And I started studying about it. And, once you go down that rabbit hole, you can never come out. Never come out.
It sounds like a good rabbit hole, though.
Yeah, right. Have I ever told you the story of how I got into my early sex research?
No.
I was like 6th grade or 7th grade. And I was asking my mom. My mom was pretty open about sex, and I was asking her all sorts of questions. I couldn't ask my dad. He was scared to death of the subject. But my mom was pretty good. The problem was at a certain level, she got irritated and said, "Look, we're going to the library. I'm getting tired of this shit." Well, she didn't say it that way, but that's what she meant. Right. And we went to the library, and this whole section, this was 1962 or 3. There's this whole section of books on sex, and only adults could check those books out. So my mom takes me there, and she says, "You can check any book out you want to from here, and I'll check them out on my library card." So,
wow.
Yeah, I know. I was.
Wow.
She said, except you can't check out. There's one you can't check out, and that was the Kinsey Alfred Kinsey's 2 books on sex and women and sex and men and sex. Well, of course, that made me really want to have those books. When I saw them on the shelf and I pulled them off and I showed my mom, "Nope, you can't check that out." Why, Mom? "Well, they're not appropriate for children, for you." Then she implied they were pornographic. And worst thing was, he was a communist. And back in that day, being called a communist was like the worst thing, So I couldn't check those out. I checked out a whole bunch of books. I came home and I read and I read and I read. And these are books that medical doctors are using. They're informing the medical profession. And they were
wow, you really dug deep.
I did. And I had a dictionary in one hand and the damn book in the other, because there was words I didn't know, of course. And I studied and studied. Now, what I'll tell you now, in retrospect, is 90% of it was bullshit. Those books, they were horrible. They had, like masturbation will cause you to go blind kind of crazy stuff. And so I learned it all. And then, of course, I went to school, and I told all my friends that I had this opportunity to read all these books, which they couldn't read. So I suddenly, in like the ripe old age of 13 or so, became the school expert on sex. And every boy, no girls came and asked. That's disappointing. I really wish the girls had come too, but only boys came, and they asked me all sorts of questions. And I was some great authority, answered, "Here's what the book says." I probably fucked up a lot of boys because I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. But that was the beginning of my sex research. I started early.
Yeah, that is young. And the fact that you had a mom that was so cool with that, I could not imagine that. When I got caught with my pornos, was I in trouble? It was not. Oh, yeah. I was at my friend's, and my buddy's mom's like, "Hey, it's your mom." And I come, and she's like, "So Brent, my brothers, Brent and Tico, they're looking for a movie in your room, and they grabbed this. Is it okay if they watch it?" I said, "Yeah." And then she goes, "But I found some other tapes I'd like to talk to you about." And that was the most embarrassing, terrifying conversation I ever had to have.
Oh, that's funny.
So, well, since you brought up masturbation, why is masturbation? Since you brought up masturbation, why is masturbation a good thing, or are there any negatives to it?
Oh, okay. We're going to get down deep right off the bat here. All right. Well, first of all, you are the first sex partner you'll ever have, and you may be the last sex partner you ever have. So you need to get used to your own body, know what turns you on, what doesn't turn you on, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and have sex with yourself as often as you want, because it's all consensual. Now, I will say this, Jesus does not consent, but you can still consent. Because here's my contention. I think Jesus masturbated. In fact, I even gave a talk. You can Google it. Go on YouTube and Google it. Did Jesus masturbate? I got a whole talk just on that. And one of the chapters.
Did you get a whole talk out of that?
Oh, it's really easy. And if you really want to get in depth, go read my book, Sex and God, because I have a whole chapter titled "Did Jesus Masturbate?" That's the title of the chapter. So, and of course he did. If he was a male, he was masturbating. Yeah. So, does it have any downsides? Well, I've had people ask me, "Can you do it too much?" I was the student. My mentor was Dr. Albert Ellis. You may not know who that is, but
yeah, he's familiar with him.
He's like the inventor and godfather of cognitive behavioral therapy. He was my mentor, and I learned from him. But he was also probably the preeminent world in 1960 to 80. He was probably the preeminent sex therapist on the entire planet, and his theories on sex and sexuality were very controversial. Let's just say that. And so I studied under the best sexologist or sexual therapist in the world, basically at that time. Not now, but he's been dead for 20 years. But yeah, anyway, if you've ever gone to a therapist and they've used cognitive behavioral therapy, they were using what he invented, cognitive behavioral therapy. But I was in this seminar. It was probably 400 people in there, all taking his workshop on cognitive behavioral therapy. It was called rational emotive behavioral therapy back then.
Okay.
Since changed its name, but he also devoted about a third of the whole seminar on sex and sex therapy. So that's where I first really learned about methods of using cognitive behavioral therapy with sexual issues. And he was actually, Dr. Ellis was named Atheist of the Year by the American Atheist Association way back in about 1980 or so. So he was prominent atheist and out atheist, and here I am at that time about a 25-year-old liberal Christian, but still a Christian. And he's up there, and nobody could swear like Ellis could. I mean, every other word was fucking damn and whatever. You could
like Dennis.
I learned to swear from him because I was raised in a Christian family where you couldn't swear. So he got the question, can you masturbate too much? And he sat there and thought for a minute. He says, well, I had a client that masturbated 12 times a day. He seemed to be pretty normal. And at that moment I thought, okay, I only masturbate 8 times a day. I must be normal. I don't know. It was just funny. Having everything you ever thought challenged in about a 3-hour time period, your entire world being challenged, thrown upside down, and
that's a lot.
Questioned. It was, and I would say it was one of the chinks in my Christian armor, because I came back from that training with a whole new view on my own sexuality and understanding the shame and guilt that I'd been taught.
Yes.
And there's so much shame and guilt associated with it.
So I'm not the only one who used to, when I was Christian, think, oh my God, I can't do this. They're going to look down and see me, like thinking of like relatives or like, Jesus or anything. Like
Grandpa's looking at me, right?
You're like scared they're watching you.
Yep. I had that same, my relatives, my grandpa, grandma might be watching me, but Jesus certainly is. And I think, if you are, I'm fond of saying that if you're married and you're having sex, you're a Christian and you're having Christian sex, then you're having a threesome with Jesus because he's watching. He's voyeuristic. And he may be jacking off to it while he's watching. Who knows if he's normal.
Oh, this is the most politically incorrect conversation I've done in a while.
I don't think it's politically incorrect. It's religiously incorrect.
There we go. Yeah.
Blasphemously incorrect. So I don't know
talking,
that there's any downsides to masturbating. And let me just throw this out here because I'd like to talk about this. And this is this notion of sex addiction and porn addiction. And I'm going to call bullshit on both those concepts because I hear people talk. I just wrote a post today on
I
Facebook.
think they're bullshit too, but sorry, continue.
Yeah, no, well, good for you. You figured it out. It's bullshit because it's your body. How can you be addicted to your own body? And you have the right to be sexual with your own body. Nobody has the right to tell you what you can and can't do with your own body, including your spouse. If you're married, I mean, I have a partner. We just celebrated our 14th anniversary, and I'm very open with her. Yeah, when we're not fucking, I'm masturbating. I mean, as a male, I've got a much higher sex drive than most of the female sex partners I've had in my life. So it's no judgment on my partner that I'm masturbating. And yet religion tells you if you masturbate, you'll ruin your relationship. And what I know is that if you are feeling guilty about masturbation, you oftentimes do more of it. It drives you. It's like, don't think, okay, I'm going to give you here's a test for you and people listening right now. I want you to follow exactly what I'm going to tell you. Okay, Ethan? Are you agree? We're going to do exactly what I'm telling you to. Okay. Do not think of a red elephant. You fucked up. You didn't do what I told you to, right?
No, I couldn't. I couldn't resist.
You're right. Exactly. And the people listening to this couldn't resist either. So here's the problem. When religion tells you, don't think about sex, don't think about sex, don't think about sex, and thinking about sex is a crime against Jesus, and it's thought, and the thought police are going to get you because they're watching while you masturbate.
Yeah.
It creates guilt. It creates shame. And that creates internal tension. Well, what is masturbation good for? It's good for relieving tension.
It is. It's very relaxing.
So you end up doing the very thing and then feeling guilty about it. And I call it in my book, The God Virus, I have a whole chapter I call the guilt cycle. And it brings you back. Religion teaches you that your body is your enemy, your thoughts are your enemy, your sexuality is your enemy. And if you succumb to it, then you have to come back to Jesus to ask for forgiveness. So the church teaches you how to be shame-filled and guilty about your own body, about your own thoughts. And then because you're a normal human being, you're going to have sexual thoughts. You're going to act upon your sexual urges. And when you do, you're going to feel guilty. Well, what do? You have to go back to church to get rid of the guilt. And no Catholic ever goes to a Muslim imam to confess their sexual sins. And no Muslim ever goes to a Baptist minister and confesses their sins. The only place you can get rid of the sin and the guilt is the place you learned the sin and the guilt. So whatever religion you were raised in taught you to be guilty and ashamed of your own body. And it's a great system. It's a perfect system for keeping you in church. It makes you feel guilty, and you got to go back to church to get the forgiveness. Read your Bible, pray, go to Bible study, go to confession. You got all these things religion has you do so you can get over the guilt that religion gave you in the first place.
Yeah. I used to, I'd constantly, even sex in the beginning, I felt completely ashamed and guilty about it. It sucked, but good thing that's gone.
Yeah, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. I have okay, tell me this. What exactly does a licensed sex therapist do?
Well, first of all, there's no such thing as a licensed sex therapist. There is no licensing program for sex therapy. However, if you're a clinician, you have a clinical degree, a terminal clinical degree, or not terminal, but a clinical degree, like a master's in psychology, in clinical psychology, or a master's of social work, clinical social work. Then you have the basics for doing therapy or counseling. And if somebody wants to do sex therapy, I mean, even a non-trained person could still do some level of sex therapy. Most of us have been exposed, as I told you, I was exposed to it with Albert Ellis. but you go off and get special training, and there's special institute like the Kinsey Institute in Indiana or the ASEC in as one of the certifying organizations in the United States. And it's very sex positive. It's very anti-guilt and shame. And you learn how to help people. You learn how to help people deal with their sexual issues. And frankly, a lot of it, Ethan, is a lot of sexual problems arise from shame and guilt that people were taught.
Right.
And the layer after layer after layer of bullshit that religion has taught us about our bodies and about how we should look at other people. You know, Jesus says, if you even look at a woman with lust, you've committed adultery. You know, that's just bullshit. Yeah, I've committed billions of adulteries in my life. and yet I've never committed adultery in the sense of cheating on a partner. You know, if I wasn't committed relationship, I never cheated. That's just not me. I don't do that kind of stuff.
Right.
But also I'm very open and honest about what I am and what I've been polyamorous for 25 years. And any partner I've had knew it from the day we met. I don't keep that a secret. So anyway, am I answering your question, or did you ask me a question, or we just going down a rabbit hole?
Question. No, you're going, and you can rabbit hole away. Anything that has to do with sex, you can just keep talking.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to sex addiction and porn addiction, because I think is a religious idea. There is no diagnostic criteria for either concept, sex or porn addiction. Now, that does not mean people don't have problems with sex, and it doesn't mean that people don't feel bad about themselves around sex. It just means that we're not trained or given the tools to deal with what we naturally have. I mean, every bone in your body, every cell in your body is sexual, and you can't get away from it. Even people who are asexual, their body is still sexual. They may not feel the desire, the chemistry, the hormones may be different. And if you're gay, you may have a different attraction. If you're, you know, all these pieces can be different for every human being.
Right.
But what I want people to realize is I want people to relax and accept themselves, radically accept yourself as a sexual human being. And that means you can't be addicted to your own body. And if you have problems with your sexuality, if you think you're masturbating too much because every morning you're late to work because you had to jack off one more time before you left or something like that, yeah, that's a problem. But that's not an addiction. I know people who are late to work because they played a video game too long and overslept the next morning. Is that a video game addiction? I know people who get in trouble at work or get in trouble in relationships because they're too busy scrolling through their phone. Are they iPhone addicted or Facebook addicted? You know, that's the level of stupidity that we're dealing with here when people say they have their porn addiction. Porn addiction is a religious idea. If you weren't taught it, and years ago, a very bad psychologist wrote a book on and invented the term porn addiction and sex addiction. Drawing a blank on his name right now. I wish I could remember it because I want to tell him "fuck you." But anyway, he wrote the book on sex and porn addiction way back in like 1983. And it was a religious notion, and the churches jumped on it. They love the idea, because if you can make people feel guilty about your sexuality, then you'll come back to church to get forgiveness. It's a great.
That's true.
It's a great system.
Dr. Robert Wise?
Oh no, it wasn't him.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I tried to quickly Google to see if I could find it.
Yeah, I usually have it right on the top of my head. I'm just drawing a blank right now. Anyway, so important message for tonight, and that is get this bullshit out of your head about addiction. Now, if you do have problems, if you're masturbating in such a way that you miss time at work or something like that, then you need to look at that. Just like you need to look at how much time you play video games and not get the dishes done. You know, or how much you're scrolling on Facebook and not developing a face-to-face relationship with your partner. I mean, all those things, that's just another thing. And we do need to learn some self-discipline around our behavior, whether it's masturbating or it's looking at Facebook, or playing video games. There's got to be a time when you program your brain to say, okay, enough is enough. I got shit to get done today. I got to get out and get the lawn mowed or whatever you got to do. And that's not sex addiction. That's self-discipline. And I think self-discipline is one of the most valuable characteristics you can develop, and every human being can develop it. And once you get really good at self-discipline, you can achieve a hell of a lot, even as you enjoy your body and masturbate and have sex with your partner or whatever you decide to do.
So if you don't mind my asking, I know you're polyamorous, but are you currently in a polyamorous relationship?
Yep. Have been I got married. I went through the marriage piece twice. After, I don't think third time's charm. After the second one, and I realized, okay, there's a pattern here. Usually it takes three things to create a pattern, but for me it only took two. I don't need a third one. So I just realized I am not a monogamous person. I'm miserable when I'm monogamous, and I've always had a very high sex drive. Going back to 12 years old or earlier, probably. So once I just accepted who I am and said, okay, I am not going back to being monogamous. I'm going to be the books on polyamory came out in the late 80s and through the 90s.
I didn't know they came about that early.
Yeah, Dr. Deborah Anapol wrote her book, Loving More, I believe in 1988 or something. But the next book didn't come out until 1997, and that was The Ethical Slut by Hardy and Janet Hardy and I can't remember the co-author. And I read when I read Janet Hardy's book, or their book, Dosey Easton was the other author, The Ethical Slut. It's been revised like 3 or 4 times. It's up to date. Really amazing book, and written by 2 lesbian women who are polyamorous, which, in fact, if you look at the polyamory books out there right now, all five of the top-selling polyamory books, last I checked, were written by women, and except one of them was co-authored with a man and a woman partners. So a lot of people say, well, you're polyamorous just because you want to cheat. And that's absolutely not true. I don't cheat. Right. I've never cheated.
Drives me nuts when people say that.
I believe in honesty. I believe in being true to myself. And myself is, I get bored with just one sex partner forever. Now, I'm 75 years old, so I don't have the sex drive I had when I was your age. I'll tell you that.
I don't know. I'm starting to get old. My sex drive has gone down a little bit.
Well, yeah, it starts going down about, from 30 for men anyway. When you hit 30, it's all downhill after that. Sometimes I'm not very fast, maybe, but it's still generally going downhill.
Yeah, one of life's school pranks.
It is. So I'm currently not. And I'm not as polyamorous as I used to be. I mean, I usually had at least 3 partners at any given time. I'm down to 2 partners. COVID really clobbered my relationships, because we couldn't be together, and that kind of disrupted our pattern. But I still have 2 partners right now, and not afraid to talk about it. I think being open about it is like. I think, for example, being atheist, I want people to be out as an atheist, as you are, as I am, because it normalizes something that's been vilified and demonized for centuries. And I think the same thing is true of polyamory. If you're polyamorous, be open about it and be educated about it and talk intelligently about it, because it's been vilified. And like I said, I've had people accuse me of, oh, you just want to cheat because I'm polyamorous. And no, that's not. That's an uneducated guess at what I really want to do.
Right. Yeah. It has nothing to do with cheating. especially if it's agreed upon in the relationship. Like, how can that be cheating?
Yeah. And I don't care what people choose to do. If you want to be exclusive with one person for your entire life, that's fine. I'm thrilled for you. That's your choice, and you are within all your rights to do what you feel best for you and your body, and with your partner, with being consensual and all. You both agreed to it. But I see so many people cheating. I mean, let me illustrate this a little bit. If this is an angle you don't mind going down.
No, go ahead.
If you look at marriage, 50% of marriages end in divorce, right?
Right.
So right there, we got half the people are disaffected with the institution of marriage. Well, if you came to my car lot and I was selling cars and I said, this car will start 50% of the time, would you buy the car from me?
No.
No, you probably wouldn't. Now take the 50% that didn't get divorced and take a look inside of those marriages, and you will see that half of those marriages are very unhappy, and they are oftentimes sexless marriages too. There's no sex going on. Right. And by definition, a sexless marriage is a marriage that has sex less than once a month. To me, that would be, less than once a week would be sexless in my book, but that's what the science says. So that's 50% are divorced, 25% more are in unhappy sexless marriages. That only leaves 25%. Now, within my family, I had both of my grandparents lived into almost to their 80s, and they were married. Both my grandparents were married over 50 years, and they were very proud of being married for 50 years. But I don't know 4 more miserable people on the planet than my 4 grandparents, and they hated each other. Oh. But they were proud of being married for 50 years. So if you just within that last 25%, you've got probably no more than 25% of the entire population is actually in a marriage that's happy. Now, if you start looking at second and third marriages, they're even worse. I mean, divorce rates skyrocket in the second and third marriage.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You don't. It's like 70% of all second marriages end in divorce. It's pretty bad. So all I'm saying is, if you're honest with yourself, honest with your spouse, honest with the people you're involved with, and you come to terms with who you really are, then you can create a life that fits your approach to life, your style, your sexuality. And that's all I'm saying. I really don't care. People tell me, well, I want to be monogamous. And when I give my talks, I've given these talks for 20 years. You can Google any of my talks online about sex. But you'll notice whenever I start a talk, the first question I ask, I walk on stage and I say, how many of you masturbate? I do. And I raise my hand. And everybody who masturbates raise their hands. The rest of the people in the room are lying. So I have that. And then the second question I ask is, how many of you know a monogamous person? And I'm serious. I ask them that question, 400 people in the room, and I'll bet I get half the people will raise their hand and say, I know a monogamous person. And then the next question I ask,
I said that low? I would have thought everyone would know a monogamous person.
Well, I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass. It could be 75. Don't take it too seriously. But here's the deal. All those people who raise their hand, I say, keep your hand up. And the next question I ask is, if it's not you, how would you know? So everybody that had their hand up thought they knew a monogamous person. I know for a fact my parents were not monogamous, but they claimed till the dying day that they were monogamous. Because I got proof after they died. I found proof that at least one of them had been playing around.
So they were swingers?
No. Just that my grandmother had been married. We don't know. We think she got pregnant before she got married. She had my father, whose name is Eugene. And when my father was less than 10 months old, my grandmother moved out of the house of the man she was married to. His name was Thompson. And she moved into a man whose name was Ray, who became my he's the only grandfather I knew. So what we know is that my grandmother was married to one man, and within the year after having a baby, she moved into another house with another man. The way we know this is we found it on the United States Census. My grandmother's name was Pearl Ray in Shawnee, Oklahoma. How many Pearl Rays are there in Shawnee, Oklahoma?
Not many.
And it was a small town. And what the census shows was she was living with Thompson and she was living with Ray. Anyway, so how many, if you look at the new genetics, 23andMe, one of the problems people are having with 23andMe and Ancestry.com and stuff is because people are finding out who they thought their father was is not their father. And maybe
that's happening commonly.
Way too commonly. It started back in after World War II. They were some British physicians were trying to solve the problem of Rh factor, which is a serious issue for babies born with Rh negative. I can't remember what the science of it is. And so they would take the blood types of the father and the mother, and because that would help them determine the best way to treat the baby.
Okay.
And somewhere around 19%, not somewhere, in this particular study, 19% of all the babies were not fathered by the man who thought he was the father. So you got 98% of the kids whose blood type is such that it could not have come from the father. That's a pretty significant amount of playing around, if you will.
Yeah.
And now that we've got true genetic testing, we're seeing that the average it varies, but it's somewhere between 10 and 20% of all children are not fathered by the man who thinks he's the father. That's playing around. Let's just be honest. And I'm not here to give you there's a lot of research in this area. I'm not here to talk about that. What I'm saying is people have been cheating on each other for centuries.
Right.
And they can't be honest about it because Christianity says you have to be monogamous. And that's Christianity's problem. It's not my problem because I'm not a Christian.
Right.
Mormons used to think you could have bunches of wives. Of course, the wives could not have bunches of husbands. Islam lets a man have up to four wives if he wants to. So there's lots. If you go to other cultures, and that's why I wrote my book Sex and God. If you look at other cultures, you'll see that they're doing a lot of things that are very different than Christian sexuality. And the biggest examples, of course, I've just mentioned that most people would know about: Islam allowing men to have multiple wives. Mormonism started off as a polygamous cult to begin with, and they still are. In southern Utah, all those compounds have got multiple wives living in same compound. That's why you've got sister wives on television and stuff.
And the wives usually can't have another husband, though, can they?
No,
right?
no. It's polygamy rather than polyandry, or it's polygamy. It's one male and multiple females. And I'm not here to comment on the ethics of that. Well, I am here to comment. It's unethical. It's bullshit.
Right.
Because women are being forced into marriages they don't want and that sort of stuff within that religious construct. But I am not bound by the religious constructs of Mormonism or Christianity or Islam. And I'm not about to go out and marry 3 people either. It's not, I don't want the legal obligations. And, our culture doesn't know how to handle that.
Right.
Anyway, how did we get so far down that rabbit hole? I'm sorry I took us down.
Don't say sorry. You're free. You're the guest. Go as much as you want.
Well,
So what
I
do you
just want
say?
people. I just want people to be comfortable in their own skin and learn how to negotiate their sexuality with their partners in an honest, open way. And you can't do that if you're secretive about who you are, and if you can't come to grips with your own guilt and shame that you were taught as a child in whatever religion you were raised in.
Out of curiosity, I meant to ask you this earlier. How would you recommend people who are poly find fellow poly people? Do you have any tips?
Oh yeah, right. We have right here in Kansas. I'm in Kansas City, so in Kansas City we have an entire poly families. It's called poly families, and it's got hundreds of people that belong to it. So you got that. Many kink or kink friendly organizations are also poly or poly adjacent. I was involved in the BDSM community for several decades, and
Wow.
I would say at minimum, half the people were poly as well. It just seems to go along with it. Pagans, many pagan groups are very poly friendly. I go to Oasis. I helped start Oasis here in Kansas City, which is a secular organization that meets every Sunday morning and has talks on science or history or whatever. We'll have 100 people show up there. Almost every Sunday there will be that kind of attendance, and I would guess probably 20 to 30% of all the people there are poly or poly friendly. So, there's places where poly people gather in places they're accepted and aren't going to be criticized or judged.
Right.
And pagan organizations, the Satanic Temple. We have an organization here in Kansas City called the Satanic Grotto. It's full of poly people. So you go where you go where the people are.
Right.
The other thing is there are websites, there are dating websites that are poly friendly. Or if you're on, I haven't dated on a website in quite a while, but Plenty of Fish, I think, has a poly or poly friendly. You can check it off. I'm poly or I'm poly friendly or whatever. And I think, what was the other one? Alt.com and Adult Friend Finder are both places that had options for polyamory. So if you're going to get on a dating site, I found this very interesting. Back when I had a real active dating life back in the 90s or 2000s and early 2010s, I was on a lot of dating sites, and it wasn't just for me. I was kind of researching it too. I was really interested in the phenomena of online dating. And what I found was if you go on one of those sites that's poly friendly, then the two of you start off on the third or fourth step in the dating world. You're not meeting for coffee and finding out, she's a Republican and he's a Democrat.
Right.
You're past that shit. And you're also past the notion that we're not going to be platonic friends. We're not just be friends after the end of the date, because both of us are saying in Adult Friend Finder, it's pretty clear you are both interested in sex. So you're not starting off from ground zero. You're at the third stage before you even meet. You both know we're here for sex in some way, shape, or form.
Adult Friend Finder work like legitimately? Because I thought it was a BS site.
Oh hell no! I had 3 lovers over the past 20 years that I found on Adult Friend Finder.
Oh, wow.
And two other lovers in the past 20 years that I found at alt.com. You can also go to FetLife, and you can go to activities that are sponsored by organizations that are affiliated with FetLife, or you can go to a munch, a poly munch. You can go to a BDSM munch. There's lots of places that poly people are going to be at, and you can find potential partners there. I always found Adult Friend Finder. I mean, you got to work at it. It's not automatic.
Right.
The beautiful thing is, if you go into eHarmony, they're all Christians, right? And they don't want sex, or they don't want to admit that they're here for sex.
Right.
With me, I had I've had several lovers that lasted 7 to 10 years. Well, I had a marriage that only lasted. I only had a marriage. My second marriage only lasted 3 years. So, but I found these women on Adult Friend Finder, and we both, within that framework, you can check off all the things you're interested in, what you like, what you don't like. You can do a BDSM checklist. There's lots of things you can do to say, here's what I'm interested in. And then the two of you match because you're being honest about what you're interested in. I mean, I was very good at flogging, for example, Florentine. I learned it at a BDSM conference I went to, and I became a specialist at it. So when I went on a dating website, and I said, I'm a specialist at Florentine. If you like Florentine, let's meet. And that led to one of my lovers that lasted almost nine and a half years. And we were seeing each other on a regular basis. I had another lover where we were seeing each other 3 times a week, and that lasted for 7 years. We climbed mountains together. We flew all over the country. Another lover, I'm still involved with her. I've known her since 2002. We have traveled literally all over the world. And I mean that. We've been to Southern Africa, 5 countries in Southern Africa, 5 countries in South America, all over the United States. We've been to Australia. You name it, Canada, we've been all over the place together as lovers. And we're still, she doesn't live in the same town I do. It's a long distance relationship, but we travel usually at least once a year. We've been all over to Europe together. And the minute I met my current partner, we've been together for 14 years. My current partner, we've been together for 14 years. And my other partner, we've been together since 2002. And both know each other. They physically know each other. When I go to the other town, my partner and I go to the other town, we stay in her house. That's been going for how many years? 24 years.
Oh, that's incredible.
And that's non-monogamous. It's ethical non-monogamy. Everybody knows what's going on.
Right.
No secrets.
That's how it should be. My girlfriend and I aren't poly, but we are swingers. So we're in a semi-open relationship. That's how
there you go.
Poly people's at swingers clubs.
That's another good way to do it. Yeah. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah, some of these swingers clubs are cool. Like you'll go and they have a whole pool, a hot tub, a beach, and then the dance club area and upstairs area, and then they've got like 10 to 15 bedrooms, all with all these different things. So
yep.
It'd be quite interesting to be around.
I had a lover for about 5 or 6 years, local in town here. So we saw each other at least once a week for years. But whenever she and I traveled together, first thing she would do is look up the swingers motel in whatever city we're going to. I had, until about 2008, I think maybe 2007, I had never been to I didn't know swingers hotels existed except in films or whatever.
Right.
And we were going to Denver, and she said, let's go to the swingers hotel there. I said, okay, whatever that is. Yeah, I was poly at that time. I just didn't know about swinger. And so we went, and it was exactly what you described. A beautiful swimming pool, a hot tub, great rooms. And it wasn't that expensive. It was really fun. And she met a guy she was really attracted to, which helped a lot. We had a lot of fun with him.
Good.
Yeah, we did. He was a lucky guy that day. He got really lucky that day. So yeah, that was. But
there was something I wanted you to speak to because we talked about this a while ago. It's the Coolidge effect, right? Because, like, for instance, like after my girlfriend and I have been intimate with other people, when we come back, the sex is like tenfold better. Yeah, it's like, oh my God, like I want her so bad. So can you talk a little bit about that and why that's the case?
Yeah, our brains love variety. It's that simple. If I said I'm going to give you free steak for the rest of your life and you can't eat anything but steak, you'd be sick and tired of it within a week or two. Well, that's kind of the way sex is. And in every way, we love sex, but we also like variety in our sex.
Right.
So to put a little spice in the sex, put a little variety into it, stimulates our brain in places that it doesn't normally get stimulated. Yeah. So that's the best way to explain it. And there's one concept I think is really important to understand, and that is the notion of satiation.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that term?
I've heard it, but doesn't it just mean relief?
Nope. No, that's not what satiation means. When you hit satiation, that means you're tired of it. You're finished with it. You don't want any more of it. Steak, after about 3 weeks, you will hit satiation.
Okay.
You'll be sated, if you will. You no longer desire that anymore.
Okay.
Well, that's what happens in sex, is we get satiated of our own partners. It's not that we don't love our partners. It's not that we're not attracted to our partners, but our brains are saying, "Hey, let's spice this up a bit. Let's do something different." You know, if you got an opportunity to spice it up with somebody else, then your brain says, "Ooh, this is really fun." And then when you come back, it's like you've got a new relationship. Your brains have both been stimulated in ways that weren't before. And that's the Coolidge effect, based upon the story of President Coolidge and his wife.
Oh, okay. Didn't know that part either.
Go look it up on if you're watching. Go to Wikipedia and look up the Coolidge effect on Wikipedia. It's a funny story. We're not sure if it's true or not, but it's a really funny story.
Well, what do you say to people who say it's morally wrong to be ethical non-monogamous?
I would say that whose morals? I mean, I'm an atheist. I don't have any Christian morals.
Right.
And I'm ethically non-monogamous, so I'm forcing 3 women to be my wives against their will. If my lovers want to have another lover, that's their right. They can do it. I just want them to make sure everybody knows what's going on. I mean, one of the women I had a relationship with, we were seeing each other like 3 times a week for 7 years, and she generally generally during that time had another or explored other lovers, and then had another lover that we were together for 9 years, and she always she was solo poly. That's what she called herself, solo poly.
What's that mean?
It means she doesn't have a pair bond with anybody. She likes to have multiple.
Okay.
So she and I saw each other for about 9 years, and during that entire time, she always had at least one and generally 2 other lovers.
Okay.
Now she let me know. I mean, I never met them, but I knew all about them. She'd tell me what they were doing. Sometimes they'd travel together, but it was just easy and free flowing, because she knew what I was doing. I knew what she was doing. We kept it within safe sex boundaries. I mean, after a few years, we learned each other, and we decided when we did and when we didn't want to use protection. We're all older. All of us were past 50 years of age, so nobody's probably going to have a baby anyway. And I've had a vasectomy, so it didn't matter. By the way, get a vasectomy. If you don't want kids, get a damn vasectomy.
It's so scary.
Oh, it's so
thinking
easy. It's easy. I got one when I was 32 years old. I had 2 kids, and by that time said I don't want any more. I went and got a vasectomy. Let me just say, women love it when they know you've got a vasectomy, because they don't have to worry about getting pregnant.
So how important let's talk about protection for a minute. Protection. Yeah. And how lenient are you with it?
We talk and we get tested. It's pretty simple. That's why they got medicine these days. You can get tested. So if I'm going to start with a new partner, I use protection, as does whoever else, of course. And then we get tested. And if everybody's clean and we trust each other, then we may, not always, we may stop using protection, but it's always by mutual consent. And if somebody steps outside to have another partner, wants to have another whatever they want to do. That's fine. You can go do it, but you have to get tested before you come back. Or we're going to use protection when you come back.
Right.
It works very well. It works beautifully when you do that way. I mean, think about this. Porn stars are having sex all the time.
Yeah.
And you are more likely get an STD by dating on Match.com with Christian women or men than you are if you're a porn star in Los Angeles. That's because they have to test. They have to test. I think the minimum is every 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you're getting tested every 2 weeks if you're a porn star.
Damn.
Yep.
Yeah. My girlfriend.
Be careful. There's more STDs among Christians than there are among atheists. I'll just tell you that.
I'm quoting you on that.
Yeah, you can. There's some research to back that up too.
There really is.
Yep, there's some research. The more religious you are, the most because they don't believe in protection. They don't believe in talking about things out loud. Some of them don't even believe in contraception. I mean,
right.
So just think about it. It's almost a no-brainer to think, if I believe in science and I believe in testing and I believe condoms work and I believe birth control is a good idea, then I'm already 4 steps ahead of the Christian who doesn't believe in contraception, doesn't believe in sex before marriage, and doesn't believe in condoms, doesn't believe in science and testing. I mean, those 4 things, I believe in them, and the Christians don't. Here's a funny story. There's a Nazarene college here in town, Midwest Nazarene College, and I found a woman. This is back in the late 80s, early 90s, back in the day of adult personals in the newspaper. You are too young to remember that, are you?
No, I'm not. I remember those.
Okay. Well, I found this woman on the adult personals in the newspaper, and we clicked. We met and had coffee and decided to start a sexual relationship. It was almost that simple. And we started fucking like bunny rabbits within a week or two. And I find out after a while, we start getting to know each other a little bit. I find out that she's just finished her bachelor's and master's degree at Nazarene College here in town. And she's a Sunday school teacher. And she teaches abstinence only to the Sunday school. You can't make this shit up. You can't. I'm serious. And so when we started dating, we always had to come to my house or a motel. We could never go to her apartment. We went to her apartment one time because she knew her roommate was not going to be around. Her roommate was out of town or something. We only went there to pick something up. That's the only time I saw her apartment. But we had a on again, off again. I would say on average, we saw each other once every 2 weeks. Whenever she got horny, she'd call me up and we'd go. That was basically the way it was. She governed it. It wasn't like we had a regular schedule.
Okay.
But this relationship we had lasted for 4 years. She had a job. She had a job in IT, which took her around. So she'd go different parts of the country, and she'd get horny and call me up and say, "Hey, can you come and see me?" And I'd fly up and spend a weekend with her. But she was really she loved teaching Sunday school, and she taught abstinence only. The only good sex is no sex. It was really wild. And we talked about it, and I guess I know she had cognitive dissonance about it, but she was also very horny.
Yeah.
I mean, this woman loved sex, and she couldn't admit it, and she felt guilty about it. It was really funny. I've had several of those experiences. I had another woman that we dated. We only dated for 4 or 5 months because she got shipped out of town. She got a new job and big promotion, so we kind of lost each other with that. But while we were dating, she was Catholic. I mean, active Catholic. But again, she was really, really horny. But the minute I met her, I just really liked her. She was professional, very well educated, funny as all hell. And so, we started having all sorts of sex. And I sometimes would be most of the time we were at my house, sometimes at her house. But rarely did I didn't go to her house unless she knew I was going to be there. But one day I was in her neighborhood. It was before cell phones. It was like 1990 or 91. And I couldn't call her really. So I just showed up, knocked on the door, and she answered, and she's all hot and trot to see me. She's loving it. She's practically ripping my clothes off of me. I mean, she was really happy to see me. Okay. Are you happy to see me? So I go and I look in her bedroom. I've been in her bedroom before, and I see rosaries and Marys and Jesus and Bibles all over the place. I see religious iconography in this bedroom that I had never seen before. And I turn around and I say to her, where did all this stuff come from? And she says, well, Darrel, if I know you're coming over, I take it down because I just can't come with Jesus watching me. So, wow. Yeah, there's so much cognitive dissonance among this, but she was about as orgasmic as any woman. She was about as orgasmic as any woman I ever knew. And yet this Catholic guilt was so bad that she couldn't have an orgasm if she had all that stuff up in her bedroom. It's just heartbreaking when you think about it. Right. Why can't somebody enjoy their sexuality without Jesus watching them? So
yeah. So it's not necessarily a question, but just so you can commentate on it, referring back to when we were talking about getting tested for STDs and such, Atomic Cunit says, but what about HIV? It doesn't show up for 6 months.
Well, I'm just saying we test. And that was the way we did it. HIV, I've never encountered any reason to be concerned about it, but I don't have an answer. If you don't, it's true. It may be true. I can't say, but
yeah, we have a bunch of friends who are from the LS community are on the on PrEP. Is that the one to help possibly prevent HIV?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We have a bunch of friends who are on that. They're more lax with condoms than we are. My girlfriend and I are very strict when it comes to condoms with other people.
Yeah. Well, in the swinger world, you really should be. But in the poly world, it's different. Different in the sense that you've got a pretty stable relationship. I mean, you heard me. I'm talking about relationships that last from 2002 to today. That's a long time relationship.
Yeah.
As longer than either of my marriages lasted. So, and the partner I've got that we live together is 14 years. That's a long time, and we learn to trust each other. Mm-hmm. I haven't used protection, and I haven't been tested since 2018, I believe. No, 2019, just before COVID hit. Okay. I got tested. But if you're not switching partners all the time, if you're not introducing yourself to new partners, it's no different than being. There are monogamous people that come down with STDs because they're cheating, right? They're not being honest with their partner, and they're not being honest with themselves. But in a poly relationship, there's no reason to hide anything. I met this hot guy at Las Vegas, and I went to bed with him. Yes, we used protection, and I got tested when I got back. Okay. And I do ask to see the test. That's another thing. Right off the bat, early in the relationship, I always say, here's the rules that I'm going to abide by if you agree with them. But we always will show each other our tests if we get tested. And that just takes the doubt out of everything. It makes people, it just helps support ethical behavior. Let's just put it that way.
Right. Okay, so I'll use this as a personal reference so we can talk more about it. But for me, when I'm with a new partner, I get terrible anxiety. So much so that's where struggling with my girlfriend, no, but struggling with a new partner to, stay fully good to go can be difficult. Before we talk about the medical side of it, would you have any advice for someone like myself who, suffers from that anxiety?
Well, you're not the only one. I mean, I've been to swingers parties. I'm not a swinger by definition, but I've been a swinger multiple times. I went to a swinger hotel, remember?
But yeah, those are fun.
and I've gone to big swinger parties. I've been around swingers off and on my whole life. I just don't consider
They're
myself
cool
a swinger.
people, aren't they?
They're some of the coolest people, and they're
Yeah.
the most honest about who they are.
Yep.
What always blew my mind was how many of them wear crosses. I've seen so many crosses.
It doesn't make any sense.
None whatsoever, but I fucked some women that had crosses on. I wasn't going to argue. Well, here's the deal. Everybody gets anxiety. It's performance anxiety is what it is.
Yes.
And the new, you got a narrative going through your head about what will this other person think of me? Will I be able to get it up? And all these crazy things start going through your head. And it's a male issue because women don't have that problem as much. I mean, surely women do like to be prepped, if you will, have good foreplay and all, but it's not the same as a man. It's pretty obvious when the man's not ready or whatever.
Exactly.
There's no right answer to your question, but there are options, and that is to practice relaxing, taking deep breaths, practice just enjoying the person you're with, look at them, feel them, touch them sexually, and let your body do what your body is ready to do. And if you're in the swinger community, women who are in the swinger communities, if they've been around enough, they know
They're
how
so
to help.
supportive.
They're
Yeah.
very supportive. Right. And in the monogamous world, in the Christian world, women have been taught to, or they think that means the man doesn't like me anymore, or doesn't love me, or I'm not attracted. Any of that
Right.
kind of bullshit. And it may have nothing to do with it. It could have something to do with it, but generally speaking, that's not the issue. So relaxing, taking deep breaths, concentrating on your partner, touching them. You're in there to help and enjoy each other, and touching and caressing, sucking, whatever, all those things can happen. And here's the issue. You can have a hell of a lot of fun without penetrating and without having an orgasm.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm 75 years old. My cock does not work like it did back when I was 40. I'm just being honest. And I have to have a blue pill too. I mean, it just works better that way.
The chew blues?
So, what?
The blue chews? I think that's what they're called, right?
Oh, no, a Viagra.
Oh, okay.
Or Cialis. I use either one. Kind of depends on what I want to do. But even when I've got that, I still don't necessarily get a full erection. And it's just the way it works. And my partner and I learned a long time ago, well, it's not working quite as well as we want it to, but let's still have fun. Let's enjoy each other. Let's fuck and suck and everything else, and I'll use my fingers or whatever, and we still enjoy. And she gets lots of orgasms. That's great. Whether I orgasm or not may actually be irrelevant. I don't care. Sometimes I never orgasm. I may go weeks without orgasming. Same. Yeah. And it's irrelevant to me sometimes. I'm just enjoying my partner.
Right.
And there's a lot that's happening there when you think about it, especially with your primary partner. You're creating lots of oxytocin, you're bonding, there's hormones, vasopressin in your brain, and all those things are making the relationship work. And then you go outside and you get the dopamine hit of a new partner, and you come back and you create more oxytocin. That's a cool thing.
Yeah.
Good for you. I mean, seriously, good for you. I love hearing that. That you're a swinger, I love that.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, like, You mentioned the two pills, Viagra and Cialis. If you are suffering from ED, it's important to go to a doctor, and they'll do blood work and other things first because they got to rule out any other causes. But there are medications like the pills. There are supplements like PT-141. And then there is also, to go to another step. Now, I'm not a doctor. Want to make that clear. And this may make you cringe, but for extreme scenarios, or when you want to make sure no matter what you're ready to go, there is it's called Trimex. It's an injection. And I will leave it at that.
Well, I won't. I'll go on a little bit further. I have a friend who's a physician who is polyamorous, and he uses the injection regularly.
Oh,
he's almost the same. He's a little bit younger than me, but he loves it. And his partner, I know his partner too, and they love it. It's a great. But when you get to be my age, sex isn't your body's just not going to respond like it did when you're 30 or 40. So I know for a fact it works very well, or at least works very well for him and his partner. And he's been using that at least 15 years. I know for a fact. I mean, he and I talk, so he told me about it. We've been anyway. So yeah, I would, and actually, it's not as bad as you would think, because it's a really tiny needle. There's almost nothing there. So it's just, you just got to get the hormone rather, in close to close to the place you need to put it.
Right. And there is, I'll speak to just my experience. I shouldn't be embarrassed to admit it, but yeah, I do struggle in swingers environments. So I use it. It's not painful at all. It sounds scary, but it's not. My recommendation, though, is there is an injector kit you can get off Amazon and use that instead of just. Never mind. I don't want to give medical advice, but if you have questions, feel free to privately DM me.
Okay. There's two more things I want to make sure we talk about, if I could. Did you have something else along that line?
One more thing.
Yeah, sure.
Circumcision.
Oh, yeah.
Sex.
Oh, that's the third thing we got to talk about. Okay. Yeah. Well, circumcision is a bullshit idea that got started with some idiot guy about 3,000 years ago. We can throw him out the window now. And then some other idiot guy named Dr. Kellogg came along in the 1880s, 1890s. And his big thing was stopping boys and girls from masturbating because it caused insanity and ruined relationships. That was who Dr. Kellogg of Kellogg's cereal. If you know Kellogg's cereal, you can Google it. You can Google it. It's a horrible story. Dr. Kellogg literally thought genital mutilation prevented masturbation. And I use the term genital mutilation because that's exactly what it was. He believed in mutilating girls and boys. It wasn't just circumcision for boys. It was for girls too, much like some areas in Africa still do to this day with girls. If you Ayan Hirsi Ali's book, I don't remember the title of it, talks about her experience with her own genitals being mutilated when she was like 12 years old. It's a horrible, horrible thing to do to anybody. But the female part of it didn't seem to catch on. However, the male part of it did. And by the 1910s and 1920s, people were starting to listen to Dr. Kellogg, and he was saying that masturbation causes mental illness, and you need to circumcise your boys, or they will grow up to be crazy and murderers or whatever. And by 1930, he had penetrated virtually the entire medical world, and that's when circumcision started. You'll notice they do not circumcise in Europe. There's almost no other cultures that circumcise like Jewish culture did, or the way American culture has done for the last 100 years. But it's a stupid idea. It's barbaric. I think it's not medical. It's not medically recommended, and it does not prevent disease. I don't care what the Christians tell you. it doesn't do shit except hurt your pleasure and your ability to have good sex.
Yeah.
Is that what you wanted to know?
Yeah, that basically sums it up. But
go online. I go online and look up circumcision and Darrel Ray, and you will find about a 2-minute video of me talking about circumcision at a conference. I made a full speech. It was like an hour-long talk, and at the end I said this piece, and the guy that was videotaping it, came up to me afterwards and says, "Can I cut that last part out and put it up? Because I totally agree with you, and I want everybody to hear that." So anyway, I don't know if you can find it. If you can, put it up and let people know. I have some opinions.
Trying.
It's on YouTube.
Is it Mustang Heights Baptist Church?
No. Oh, hell no. Circumcision, and Darrel Ray. See what comes up on YouTube.
Yeah, damn it. I can't find it.
I could send it to you. Don't worry.
Okay. I can add to the description of the video.
Yeah, let's not take our valuable time here. The next thing is something nobody talks about, and we don't need to go into too much depth, but what I would like the people who are watching this tonight is to think about your sexuality within the life cycle. You are a different sexual person at each stage in your life. What you were at 12 or 13 years old, when you had no options for sexual partners, and you're still exploring who you are and what you are and how your body responds, you are primarily a masturbatory mammal at that point in time. You're not going to be doing much else, right? Unless it's illegal. I mean, it could be illegal, but if you're in a Catholic church, the priest that might be a problem. But so that's one life cycle. Then the second piece, when you get in your late teens and early 20s, then you have the option perhaps of a partner, and you can also get online and see pornography. So you get an education about what bodies look like, not necessarily how sex works, but how bodies look maybe, but it's a very unrealistic version. I'm not making any claims otherwise there. So that's another component. And that's where you're learning, how do I relate to this other being who's also a sexual being?
Right.
And this notion that women don't like sex is one of the things that I learned in church. Only men are horny. Women are not horny. Well, I learned that is not true.
I would agree with that.
I've been with many women who could run me in the ground. She needed 3 men, not one. And I've seen more than one of my partners over the years. Really, I mean, women are capable of a lot more sexual activity than men are.
Oh, absolutely.
If you look at it from that angle. So women do like sex, but they like it differently. And what turns them on is not what turns men on. And so you've got to learn these things as you're going through your late teens and early 20s. You're learning what other people like. And you're doing that whether you're gay, even if you're gay or you're LGBTQ of some kind, male, female, it doesn't matter. You're still learning other people's bodies, and you got to listen to them, and you got to understand how to communicate what you like and what they like, and what you don't like and what they don't like. And those things change and evolve. I'll tell you, I did not realize how kinky I was until I was in my 50s. I wasn't really that much into kink stuff, but probably late 40s, I realized, oh shit, there's a whole world out there of kink stuff.
There is.
I was really for 25, close to 30 years, I've been a dom. I'm a dom in the kink world, and I've got my own style, but still it was something that happened that I didn't know was there. I did not know it when I was in my 30s. I didn't know it when I was in my 40s. I was pretty focused on my career and other things like that. Raising my children, helping my kids get through college. There's a lot of things I had going on when I was in my 30s and 40s. And then when I got divorced, I got that opened up a whole area of sexuality that I didn't have when I was married, because I was, like I said, I never cheated. I was, quote, monogamous or
Right.
exclusive with my first wife. So that was just wasn't a lot of options there. But it was when I got divorced the second time that I said, okay, this bullshit. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go out there and be who I am. And that's when I discovered how kinky I was, or how much I liked non-vanilla, I guess you could say, kind of stuff. Yeah. So each stage you become a different person, and that's okay. But if you're married to somebody in a monogamous relationship, realize that she is changing or he is changing, and how to normalize that and how to make it okay. Because if you don't, you're going to end up miserable and you're going to hate each other. And there's no reason for that. You're going to become satiated with each other if you're not careful. And what I hear you saying, Ethan, is you've created a situation where you're not going to likely become satiated. And
yeah, that's true. It's gonna be exciting, lots of fun, and you form, like, we've made so many close friends from the community, and
yeah,
I think swingers get a bad rap because, like, they're pretty cool people. I
Mhm.
would, if I had a choice between having my girlfriend drunk, passed out, either at a swingers party or at a bar party or something like that, I'll take the swingers party 100% of the time, because the majority of those
Absolutely.
people are so fucking respectful and consent focused.
They follow the rules.
Yes.
They follow
I'm
them
not saying
very carefully.
everyone, but the majority, yeah. Good
Yep,
people.
yep.
So Darrel, there was two things I believe you said you wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the life cycle thing because it's
Oh,
and I've already done that. I won't go much more detail. I just want people to think about where you are with your partner, where you are with your sexuality, and be okay with that. I mean, I literally had to look at myself and say, okay, man, you're 75 years old. It ain't working as well as it used to. What are we going to do? And get happy with that, or get satisfied with it. I mean, I may not be happy with it, but I'm satisfied with it because
right.
I'm not going to force my body to be what it's not anymore. At the same time, if you get a new partner, same thing. If getting a new partner at 50 is very different than getting a new partner at 25.
Right.
And your body's going to respond nicely at 25. It may not at 50. So you can talk this stuff out and say, yeah, I want to have a nice sexual relationship, but let's talk about this. And I'll tell you how my body works. You tell me how your body works, and we can move into it slowly. There's another thing that I've discovered when I got into the kink world, and that is the kink checklists. I fucking love every lover I've had since 2001. We have done the checklist. In fact, I won't get in bed with somebody if we've not done the checklist, because if they don't match, they don't match. Let's not get in bed with each other. And what I found is that starts us not at level 3, but level 5. And once I know what your kinks are and my kinks are, what you like and don't like, we have a lot more fun. And it's truly consensual because everything is on the table. I really, really like that. Okay, so that's lifestyle. The last thing I wanted to throw out here was a new initiative that I started in January. It's called the Institute for Secular Leadership, and I'm trying to get the word out about this. I've got a whole team of people helping me with it. But what we're doing, we look out there and we see churches all over the place that have got leadership training. You got the Baptist leadership training, got Pentecostal leadership, Catholic, all these churches have got leadership training. But who's training the secular groups in this world? There's nobody training secular people how to lead. I had almost 40 years of leadership development. I was out training leaders much of my career, starting in about 1975. I've been doing leadership training forever. And what I decided 13 years ago, I decided I wanted to do some kind of leadership development for secular people and for secular groups. But I didn't have the time because I started Recover from Religion. I started the Secular Therapy Project. I was writing both my books. I was too busy. But 2 years ago, I decided I'm going to do it. So I started planning it, putting it together, and in January we had the course ready, and we taught our first class in February. We've sold out 3 of the 4 classes, and we've got each class. There's 4 sessions in the first. We call it the foundations course, and then there's 4 more sessions of 2 hours. Each session is 2 hours long, in what we call the intermediate course. And we go through systematically. Here's the unique ways you lead atheists. Here's how you lead secular people. And this comes partly, Ethan, from the notion I just hate, and that is when people say leading atheists is like herding cats. Have you heard that one?
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Leading atheists is like leading humans. If you tell me you can't lead atheists, you're telling me more about your leadership than their followership. So I wanted to teach secular leaders, how do you start a humanist group? How do you keep it going? How do you support and create community within your local organization? How do you do an online? There's just so much to teach. And there's so much that's unique to seculars. Because secular people are definitely different than Baptists. And we have to know what the difference is and how to respect that difference. So you can go to secularleadership.org and see the coursework, see the website. We have our goal is not just to train leaders, but to create a network of leadership all over the world. The first 2 classes have had participants from Canada, from Australia, from New Zealand, from United Kingdom, and United States, of course. So we've had at least 5 or 6 different countries in just the first few classes. We are literally teaching leadership to secular leaders internationally.
That's super cool.
But the goal isn't just to train them. When they're finished with the training, they get admitted to our network. And now you have a network of other leaders that you can email or call and compare notes and develop programs, share resources. And that's the real goal. Is I want to train, and I know you'll think I'm crazy here, but I'm not. I want to train 1,000 leaders in the next 10 years. 1,000 humanists, atheists, secular leaders in the next 10 years.
That was an amazing goal.
I think it would transform. Why does every church on the planet have a leadership training program? Because you need to train leaders. Right. And what I've seen is the humanist group in Denver, Colorado, or the humanist or the atheist group in Huntsville, Alabama, it blossoms for 2 or 3 years, and then the leader leaves and it dies, or something like that. Or they have a conflict, or somebody harasses somebody, and the whole thing's it's just constant turmoil, and it never settles down into a viable organization that can help people and give them community and support families. And that's what I want to see. I want to teach people how do you create. I've created Recovering from Religion, and I'm going to brag a little bit, but it's a damn good organization.
It really is.
And it's got really close community. People love each other. They support each other. And, that's what I want for everybody. And I think I can teach people how to do what it's not been Darrel only, it's been we have done at Recovering from Religion. We got a kick-ass board. And I'm going to be going to NanoCon, for example. And I'm going to teach people, how do you function as a board member? What are the hazards of being a board member? Within our training program, I've got a whole section, 2-hour section on being a board member. And I call it Darrel's 5 rules for being a board member. And anyway, lots of stuff that we do in this training. And then you're admitted. You cannot get into the network until you've gone through the training. But once you've gone through it's 8 sessions over 2 different courses. Once you get through it, you now have a new network that you can call upon, all of whom are facing the same kind of problems you are as a secular leader. And by the way, we had I think so far we've had 3 podcasters are coming through the course right now.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
It sounds interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can go online, secularleadership.org. Each course costs $300, and that's the minimum price. We cut the price to the bone because we're trying to get people we want to get people trained. Right. If this was corporate training, you'd be paying $3,000, not $300. I know. I was the corporate trainer charging $3,000.
So I thought there was one other thing you wanted to cover, or was that everything?
Yeah, we have covered everything. Life cycle and leadership stuff was the last thing I wanted to talk about. And we've talked about masturbation. We've talked about circumcision. Dang, we've covered a lot of territory here today.
And ED and swinging and
ED
poly.
and swing, poly. Right. I love it. You have rejuvenated me for talking about sex.
That's what I like to hear. Well, everyone, I want to say thank you to my patrons, especially Cindy PLAZA. You rock.
Cindy. Hey, Cindy. I love Cindy PLAZA.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart.
Yep.
But yeah, Dr. Darrel Ray, don't go anywhere, but thank you. And any last words for the audience, or where you want people to find you at?
Yeah, you can go to Darrel at DARREL at recoveringfromreligion.org. If you got a question for me, go look at my book, Sex and God, How Religion Distorts Sexuality, or look at my book, The God Virus. Other than that, if you know somebody that needs help as they're leaving any religion, Hinduism, Buddhism, Baptist, I don't care. We're here to help you at Recovering from Religion. Go to our recoveringfromreligion.org, and you can just get right in and talk to one of our very well-trained agents. And if you need professional help, you can go to seculartherapy.org and get a damn good
and can vouch for it.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. It always makes my day when I hear people using the service. So that's it. Thanks for having me on, Ethan.
All right. Thanks, Dr. Ray. See you later, everyone.